begin to love yourself without conditions, you undergo a radical shift in how you connect with others. You stop seeking validation from the outside world because you've learned how to validate yourself. You no longer beg for affection or attention because you understand that true love is never something to be begged for. It flows freely where it is meant to be. You no longer cling to relationships that drain your energy because you've discovered that inner peace is worth far more than any toxic companionship. This is a deep transformation of consciousness, one that changes everything. Jung taught that our relationships are the clearest mirrors of our unconscious. Everything that bothers you in others, everything you admire, and everything you fear losing is, in fact, a projection of something within yourself. This means the love you attract is a direct reflection of your level of consciousness. If you feel insecure, you will attract partners who trigger that insecurity. If you feel unworthy, your relationships will reflect that lack, making you feel like you're never enough. But if you feel whole, if you love yourself with authenticity and fullness, then the love that comes into your life will be an extension of that self-love. Here lies the great paradox. Most people are searching for love outside themselves, unaware that real love begins within. Many go from one relationship to another, hoping that someone else will give them what they have not yet given themselves. But this only leads to frustration, to pain, to the aching feeling of emptiness. Jung reminds us that the process of individuation, the sacred journey of integrating all parts of the self, is the only path toward living authentically. And in matters of love, this means no longer looking outward for what can only be found inward. When you truly love yourself, you become selective with your energy, not out of arrogance, but out of understanding. You begin to recognize that not every connection is healthy. You start to notice patterns you once ignored, red flags that used to pass by unnoticed. You feel with clarity when a bond is based on dependency and when it is based on growth. You no longer feel the need to fix others because you have realized that everyone has their own journey, their own timing. You stop settling for less than what you deserve because you have learned to give yourself the best. And in this understanding arises a truth that many are afraid to face. Most people fear being alone, not because solitude is unbearable, but because in the silence of their own company, they must face their shadows. It is easier to distract oneself with relationships, with validation from others, with the noise of the world, than it is to sit quietly and look within. But if you cannot dare to know yourself, to embrace both your light and your darkness, how can you expect to build a love that is true? Jung once said that love truly begins when the mask falls off, when we stop playing a role just to please others, and instead dare to show up as we really are, without fear of being rejected. That moment of vulnerability, when you choose authenticity over performance, is the true gateway to love. And it's not an easy path. Society teaches us to perform, to adapt, to mold ourselves into what others expect. But Jung's insight reminds us that love cannot flourish in pretense. It only grows in truth.